Today on COVID-19 Local Impact. Swinging away, golf courses reopen with new protocols.
Probably one of our biggest opening days ever.
Major Series lacrosse shuts down for the season. And sent home for the school year. No more in-person classes for students.
The safety of our children is my top priority.
Hello and welcome to COVID-19 Local Impact on Your TV. I'm Dan Malta from the Your TV studios in Peterborough. We'll start today's show with a quick look at the COVID-19 statistics from the region, starting off in Peterborough City and County and Hiawatha and Curve Lake First Nations. 74 confirmed positive cases with more than 6,700 individuals tested. 2 deaths. 69 of the 74 cases have been resolved, up 1 case over the weekend in the area. In the city of Kawartha Lakes, 143 confirmed cases, 0 probable cases at this time, 35 current high-risk contacts, 9 hospitalizations, 117 out of 143 have been resolved, 32 confirmed deaths as part of 3 confirmed outbreaks, up 3 cases over the weekend, and in Northumberland County up to 16 confirmed cases from 14 over the long weekend. 1 hospitalization, 15 resolved cases, 2 current high-risk contacts, and 2 confirmed outbreaks. Peterborough Mayor Diane Therrien says Peterborough can't open up city facilities until they get the go-ahead from the province. Facilities such as the Peterborough Sport and Wellness Centre and baseball diamonds.
We're following, again, what the province is putting out, what the health unit is putting out in terms of data to figure out when we might start talking about reopening city facilities. So for example, there's going to be a larger conversation around out at the Wellness Centre where there's been folks staying that were at the Brock or Cameron House or some of those shelters that they were moved out there to have more space to be able to actually distance. But there's going to be a time, not in the next month, I don't think, but eventually the Wellness Center is going to be able to reopen as a gym, as its, purpose is. So then we're having conversations about, well, how do we make sure that folks that are accessing the shelter system are still able to do it in a way that they're not so crammed together as they were prior to. So, finding space for that is, an ongoing a project for staff. What it's going to look like for summer, a lot of the summer leagues, like as we know, slow pitch normally would have started by now, and we still don't know if it's going to, like, might there be the chance to have a partial season? Those are questions that we, again, because we are relying on the numbers and making sure that we're actually following through with the flattening of the curve. It makes it challenging because we're not able to provide everybody with that notice. We wish we could, but we just can't answer those questions as of yet. We kind of have to take it week by week. And so the provincial framework that they released a couple weeks ago that talks about moving in these 2-week intervals and then reevaluating the numbers and where things are at, and then deciding if additional things can reopen or what that looks like. We're following that very closely as well. And so that's been, I think, a helpful sort of roadmap for us to move forward. It's not ideal. Ideally, we would be able to tell everybody a specific date, and we just can't do that right now. It's challenging too because you have cities, a city like Sudbury has a very different look and feel and less, travel or like people coming in and out than, a city like either Peterborough or someplace like, Burlington. So I know it's tricky for the province too to be able to say, like, this has to apply all across because Ontario's so big and there's so many different cities and what that all looks like. But this, again, when we were talking about boat launches, it was like, well, if they're all still closed in the county and the city opens, are people then going to want to come get on the water through these boat launches? And then we're going to have too many people gathering there.
School's out. Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced there won't be a return to the classroom this school year in his address to the province today. He also states overnight youth camps are canceled for the summer, but there may still be hope for day camps.
The safety of our children is my top priority. And one thing I will never do is take unnecessary risk when it comes to our children. And that's why, after careful consideration, after consulting with the health experts, it is clear that we cannot open schools at this time. I'm just not going to risk it. This wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was the right decision. We've made the decision to put our kids' safety first, and at the same time, we have a plan to ensure that our children's education can continue outside of the classroom. At-home learning will continue. All students from grades K to 12 will receive their report cards. We're doing everything possible to make sure our students have the opportunity to graduate this year, and we're working hard to ensure that child care centers will begin to open safely once we get to stage 2 of reopening. We'll make sure we support parents returning to their jobs as workplaces are ready to reopen. I also know that many of our kids are eagerly awaiting to find out if they'll be able to go to camp this summer. I know many parents are looking for certainty when it comes to summer plans. So today, we're also providing an update on summer camps. Overnight camps will remain closed. Unfortunately, we just can't have camps with 500 kids living together right now. I know this will be tough for many kids who look forward to their overnight camps. But there's some good news. Based on the best advice of our health experts, as long as trends continue to improve, summer day camps will be allowed to open in July and August with strict, and I repeat, strict public health measures in place. We hope this gives kids and parents something to look forward to this summer. I know it's hard at home right now. I know some parents are juggling work and supporting at-home learning. To our amazing parents, you are true champions. You're going above and beyond. You're putting on a brave face to support and comfort our children during these uncertain times. And I want you to know that your sacrifice, your care, does not go unnoticed or unappreciated. And our government will have your back every step of the way. Most importantly, I want our parents to know that as we move forward, we will keep you informed every step of the way. In every decision we make, my commitment to the parents is this: the health and safety of our kids will always come first. Nothing is more important. Before I pass it over to Minister Lecce, I just want to mention it's Personal Support Worker Day. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, our wonderful personal support workers. Today is about celebrating you and everything you do. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario.
Another summer activity has gone by the wayside due to the ongoing and evolving impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Major Series Lacrosse and the Western Lacrosse Association have canceled their 2020 seasons and the Mann Cup National Championship. Both leagues plan to delay the beginning of their 2020 regular season play, which was to have kicked off in late May. Revised schedules were drafted as the two commissioners worked towards the planning of the Mann Cup series, which was to be held in September in Ontario. According to MSL Commissioner Doug Louis, several factors went into the decision. Government restrictions on large gatherings such as sporting events and concerts, government guidelines that call for limiting all non-essential travel, and the serious economic impacts on MSL's many business partners whose support its member clubs rely on for operations. Since the modern era of the Mann Cup began in 1926, this will be the first time the trophy will not be awarded. The 2021 Mann Cup finals will be held in Ontario. Golf courses across the province officially kicked off their season on Saturday. Amy Tedford, the marketing and promotions coordinator for Dalewood Golf Club, tells Your TV's Mark Rockburn golfers will have to follow a number of safety protocols before they tee it up on the first hole.
Everyone books their tee time ahead of time, so either by phone or online. When they arrive, they're going to be greeted by someone from the back shop who will tell them that their tea time, when, that they're confirming their tea time. And then from there, they can go to they can either go to the pro shop to get a small bag of balls to practice with for about 20 minutes. We've set up the range so that you have there's 10 bays that are 8 feet apart. So you can go in there. Once you pick up your balls, the pro shop will tell you, there's currently 6 people out there. Make sure you're maintaining social distancing. And if someone is coming from who's a public player, they can go and pay if they haven't prepaid in the pro shop. And this is about 20 to 30 minutes in advance of your tee off time. And then the second staging area, once it hits about between 10 and 20 minutes before your tee time, you're asked to go to the putting green, which is just off of the pro shop, to sort of wait there before you get called up to the first tee by the starter. So we have a starter that is at the first tee who is handing out cart keys and scorecards and pencils. So you don't have to worry about any of those items when you come. If you've pre-booked a cart, you just go to the first tee once you've been called up, which is about less than 10 minutes before your tee time. And because you're sort of earshot away, he can just call you out and then bring you to the first tee. So
book a tee time, and let's say it's for 2 o'clock in the afternoon. What time should I arrive to the golf course?
No earlier than 1:30. So a half an hour in advance. We're just asking, we just don't want people to congregate. And, in the past, prior to this pandemic, people would hang out in the parking lots, or they would hang out in the pro shop, or they would hang out on the range, and we're asking people not to do that. And if you need to be there, at a half an hour beforehand, it's because you're using the range, or you need to pay for something in advance. And that's really the only reason. Otherwise, 10 to 15 minutes prior to your tee time is ample.
Are you booking foursomes, or is it just twosomes? And how many people can ride in each cart?
Single cart riders only. We do right now have enough carts to go around. You can book a foursome, you can book a twosome. There's lots of times in the afternoons. Saturday was a bit of an anomaly. Everyone was so excited, Mark, to come out. We did have a lot. That was, probably one of our biggest opening days ever. Considering we usually open in April and it's pouring rain and no one really wants to go out. But the tee sheet will even itself out probably from now, kind of moving forward, where we have the average which we would normally see. So, by all means, if you want to come out as a single, if you don't want to golf with anyone, there are definitely tee times later in the afternoon, which you can absolutely take advantage of if you do not want to golf with anyone else. We are doing foursomes, even foursomes of not from the same household, but just maintain social distancing, which you can on the golf course. So still try and do that. And if you are from the same household, you can ride in the cart with someone else. But we're asking people to just, to ride by themselves if they don't know anyone else.
Is the course currently open to the public as well, or is it just members?
It is open to the public, absolutely. Members have 2 days in advance of public booking privileges, which we've always had. So that the members have, kind of first dibs on the tee time they want, and then after that, the public is more than welcome to come out and book a tee time. And there are lots of openings.
As COVID-19 local impact continues on your TV, we'll hear from Northumberland Peterborough South MP Philip Lawrence. Hello and welcome back to COVID-19 local impact on your TV. I'm Dan Malta. According to Northumberland Peterborough South MP Philip Lawrence, women have been hit harder by COVID-19 than men. He tells your TV's Mark Rockburn, for every man that has lost his job, 2 women lost theirs.
When we look at how the pandemic has impacted, and I'm certainly not blaming anyone for this, but the reality is that for every man that's been put out of a job, 2 women have, or just thereabouts. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio. And I think Andrea Horvath, the leader of the provincial NDP, referred to it as a she session, which is I think a great term for it, as women have disproportionately been impacted. There's a number of reasons for that. One is that women, of course, are still largely the primary caretaker or caregiver of our children. And so when our children are out of school, when they're out of care facilities, they're the ones who disproportionately have to stay at home with the children, which I think is a magical moment, but obviously it's having a significant impact on women's ability to participate in the labor force. And my big, and the other part of it is the service industry, where there just happen to be more women than men, have been disproportionately impacted as well. So I'm open to any type of discussion and make sure that this is only temporary and that we get women's participation rate back in the labor market as high as they were, and hopefully higher. Like I said, I just want to make sure that that Maggie and all the young girls out there have equal opportunities to the boys in all fields, from STEM everywhere out. And so I think we have to be aware of that, and open to any ideas from any political party that increases women's participation rate in the labor market.
What are your fellow female colleagues, either on your side of the floor or on the other side of the floor, saying about this topic?
Yeah, so I happened to, after I asked my question, I happened to be watching and saw Jagmeet Singh actually almost asked the same question as I did. I don't think he copied me, but it was almost the exact same numbers that he was quoting. And so we have different approaches. So from the conservative side, of course, we would like to see the economic stress imposed by the government reduced on families and on women in order to enable them to return to the workforce. The NDP and some of the other parties would, of course, call for more government, of which we believe that the answer ultimately comes from Canadians, not from government.
We tackle this then, Philip, and overcome this to be able to get the women back in the workforce just as quick as we're trying to get the men back into the workforce.
Yeah, so I think we need to, we don't have policy on this. I want to be clear. This is just Philip Lawrence speaking as a member of Parliament for Northumberland, Peterborough South. We need to give more relief to women, particularly, and to families. Anything we can do. I don't believe that childcare was enough for women to return to the workforce. We need to offer them more support. Secondly, we need to make sure that the service industry, as quickly as we can do so safely, and the key word safely, return work. And so that comes through, as the provincial government is doing, putting in lots of testing, tracing, and making sure that women can return safely to the service industry going forward. And then there are longer-term solutions, such as promoting the STEM to young women, making sure that we have those areas that have been traditionally dominated by men, given women equal opportunity to be successful in such areas as STEM there.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced the Canada-U.S. border will remain closed for another 30 days. This means it will be open to essential travel only until June 21st. The PM also urges businesses to hire back laid-off employees and states the federal government has expanded the eligibility for access to the Canada Emergency Business Account.
As we start to carefully and gradually reopen our economy, a lot of people will be wondering what that means for them. If you've been laid off, you're probably waiting to see whether your employer will start up your workplace and rehire you. To help them do that, we've extended the wage subsidy through the summer. This is about getting people back to work and giving businesses the confidence to reopen, rehire, and even grow. Because the way our economy will recover and the way our country will remain resilient and successful is by getting Canadians back to work. Many business owners are already benefiting from this program to rehire and maintain the crucial link between workplace and employee. To employers looking to start up again, please rehire your workers. Use the wage subsidy for their paycheck. That's what it's there for. And for businesses that still need help, today we're taking another step forward. Today I can announce that we are expanding the eligibility of the Canada Emergency Business Account. If you are the sole owner-operator of a business, If your business relies on contractors, or if you have a family-owned business and you pay employees through dividends, you will now qualify. For example, for a hair salon owner with stylists who rent chairs, for a local physiotherapist, for an independent gym owner with contracted trainers. This is for you. We'll have more details very soon about when you'll be able to apply. But we heard you when you said you needed a hand. That's why Minister Ng is also working on potential solutions to help business owners and entrepreneurs who operate through their personal bank account as opposed to a business account, or have yet to file a tax return, such as newly created businesses. And, as we announced last week, there's new funding for regional development agencies too, which you can always contact if you still don't meet these expanded criteria. Businesses like yours are the backbone of our economy and the lifeblood of our communities. And whether it's with the CEBA or the expanded wage subsidy, we're in your corner.
The federal government is offering more financial relief for some families with children. Minister Miriam Monsef released details today of the Liberal government's plan to add an additional $300 for the Canada Child Benefit. The increase will be in place for the 2020-21 benefit year and will raise the maximum benefit to $6,765 per child under the age of 6 and $5,708 per child aged 6 through 17. On tonight's episode of Trent Talks, Chancellor Stephen Stone discusses the topic, emotional wellness in uncertain times. In this excerpt, Dr. Robin Hanley-Defoe explains the 5 key points to self-resiliency. You can catch the full episode tonight at 8 p.m. on your TV.
The work that I've done and my team has done has uncovered that there's essentially 5 core competencies that actually contribute to someone's baseline for resiliency. And I'd take a moment just to share those with you because I think this gives people context as to anywhere along that theory, you can jump in here to think about what are some strategies and tools that I could use here. So the first and foremost that we've come upon working with people all over the world, and again, everything from first responders to persons in remote communities, all the way to our military, are these ideas that it's important that we have a sense of belonging. We need to know where we belong, where we have voice, where we have that sense of a home team. And that home team is what's going to give us strength. It's going to give us confidence and our capacity to be vulnerable, to be nervous, but trust that it's going to be okay on the other side of it. The second part my program talks about is the importance of perspective. And perspective means it's this capacity to hold a mindset that also takes into consideration how we feel. So it's an alignment between our head and our heart. And sometimes the greatest delta can actually be between our head and our heart, and it's actually getting ourselves on the same page. So right now, a perspective example of COVID-19 could be this idea that we're working from home. But the reality of perspective shift would be that we're at home trying to be part of the solution during a global pandemic, trying to get work done. And when we have that wee bit of a shift of a perspective, all of a sudden it keeps everything in context. The third that we've uncovered in my work is the role of acceptance. And what we mean by this is persons that have a baseline for resiliency know when they can lean into what's within my control. And ultimately, what's in our control are our thoughts and our behaviors, and what's outside of our control, which is essentially everything else. But what we think about is when you come up to a difficult situation, can I persist through it? If I can't persist, can I pivot? Can I switch or adapt? And the third option, if you can't make it through it, we punt it away. We acknowledge that that's not within my control. I'm going to move on. Now, the fourth variable that we talk about in my work is being hope-filled or hopefulness. And I have a really quick story to share with you where we came upon this work that I think people can relate to. And I had an opportunity to work with a group of soldiers when they were coming home after a tour of duty. And I was really curious about what do you hope for or look forward to the next day when you just came home after a tour? So I was talking to these group of soldiers, and the first one said to me, tomorrow, on his very first day off, he was going to paint the rest of his kitchen. And I thought, wow, all this time and you're going to paint your kitchen. And the next soldier said that he was going to lay down hardwood floor because before he left, he only got half done. I spoke to this entire platoon and they all had house projects, which I thought was so peculiar. So I asked their lieutenant, I said, sir, why did all these soldiers leave half-finished house projects before deployment? And what he shared with me was something that was so transformational to my work. He said, Robin, those soldiers leave those as signs of hope for their families that they're coming home. So every time they come in, they see that half-finished project, they can lean into the belief they're coming home. And the next part was so significant because he said, Doc, hope is a choice. We have to choose to be hope-filled in every situation to be able to be of service to others. So I think about what persons are going through right now, our frontline responders, everything from our cashiers to our medical professionals, and they're doing their job hope-filled. The fifth one and the last one is the role of humor, or finding those pockets of joy or where we can feel lightheartedness. Because if we're only thinking about the big and heavy, we feel overwhelmed. So this is where we lean into those little pockets where we can actually have this experience of joy. And right now I want to give such a shout out to our artists. Think about how much the artists have contributed to COVID-19 solutions. They're giving us things to watch. They're giving us things to enjoy. All of us are contributing in our own way. So when I think about resiliency, those are 5 areas that we can start to have conversations about.
That's it for the show today. For Your TV, I'm Dan Malta, and we'll see you tomorrow.